I'm doing a reading for Silver Fawn. She is wondering about guys she's dated a couple times, who's been, let me just change the angle there we go. It's been pretty hot and cold, and she's wondering what his true intentions are. So I'm going to ask the cards, what is up with this guy? What are his true intentions? Angels, look into his spirit. What are his intentions with Silver Fawn? Okay. Interesting. Okay. So, this is what has come up for me in terms of who this guy really is. And it's actually, I mean, it's pretty surprising what the cards told me, because I have to admit, when I read what you wrote, I didn't have that favorable an opinion on this guy. But, you know, the cards are actually saying some pretty good things about him. You know, so the first card we have is the Wheel of Fortune. We have the Hierophant. We have the Ten of Pentacles. And we have the Four of Swords. Okay. So, this is someone who, you know, he's sort of been through life. He's seen a lot of what the world has had to offer. He's had some bad luck in the past. You know, he's an older guy, which you had mentioned, and he's sort of just been left wondering, like, oh, you know, like I just haven't been that successful at relationships. I wonder why it doesn't work out. I wonder why I just have this, like, you know, this history of things not turning out well. And basically, he's just someone who is kind of suspicious, kind of cautious. You know, he's not someone that just dives into relationships. And that's probably because he's had this past where things have not worked out. He's basically trying to change this cycle he's been in, which is what I believe that this card is referring to. He's trying to change things for himself, and that may be why he's been kind of like hot and cold or distant in the relationship, is because he's looking to trying to change a pattern of his. And we have the Four of Swords at the end, which is someone taking a break from strife, from drama, and him taking a break doesn't mean it's over, because there are definitely cards that would show that. But basically, he's just trying to rest. He's someone who's had a lot of relationship conflict. It doesn't look like it's through any fault of his own, per se. But right now, he's just trying to relax and take a break from that. I'm going to do a Celtic cross spread for you and see if there's any future left with him, or if it's just going to, you know, have to be one of those lessons in life that we move on from. Angels, spirits, guides, tell me, is there any future in this relationship? Or will there be something new coming in? The Sun, crossed with the Nine of Pentacles. We have the Seven of Cups, Ten of Wands, Ace of Swords, Three of Pentacles, Four of Swords, Eight of Cups, Ace of Pentacles, and then we have the Nine of Swords. Okay. So what's interesting is that the Nine of Swords came up for him, and it came up for you, and it came up in that position of where you're at right now. So it looks like you're also kind of taking a break and just trying to stay away from any conflict, or, you know, dealing with with this situation right now. It's either in the past you've had situations where you felt overburdened or overwhelmed, or like you were doing all the work in the relationship and you don't want to do that anymore. I know you don't want to do that anymore because it's in your past. Recent past, we have the Ace of Swords, which was that spark, that seed of success that's been planted, which is really positive coming in your recent past. And actually, where you're at right now is we have the Sun crossed by the Nine of Pentacles. The Sun is arguably the most positive card in the deck. It's just all about really good omens. It's crossed with the Nine of Pentacles, which is a card also of success, completion, uh, reaping what you've sown, good things coming in, and not feeling like you're at the mercy of other people. So, one of the things is we could possibly take that card as saying, you don't need to be in a relationship right now. But the card that came right after it was the Three of Pentacles. And I want you to look really closely at the artwork of this card. Hopefully you can see it despite my awful camera here. But if you look, it's a couple. It's a man and a woman, and they're in bed together. So what does that tell you? It looks like, and if you look at her, she looks really happy, right? And he looks happy. He's kind of longing after her, and she's just like looking down at him in bed with her, and she's like, oh my God, I'm so lucky, right? So this is a card about a fulfilling relationship coming right in. Above it, we have the Seven of Cups, which is you deciding what to do, making a decision about this relationship, whatever it's going to be, whether it's to, keep working it out with this guy or move on to someone else, it's going to be good for you, okay? But the advice card here is don't overthink it. Don't overanalyze. Don't, catastrophize. Don't get yourself all worked up. This is called the Nightmare card. It's a card when we basically just like get ourselves all worked up into a frenzy and start like imagining negative things and all this stuff. Don't do that. Whatever you do, don't allow like your anxiety to get the better of you and have you move in a direction where it's not the direction you want to go in. Especially with the Ace of Swords here. Swords are about using logical thought, making logical decisions, not emotional ones. And I know that relationships tend to be emotional decisions, but in this case, it wants you to try to, use your logic and have cooler heads prevail here. We also have the Ace of Pentacles, which is the potential to make something real. The only card that gives me a little pause is we have the Eight of Cups, which is usually a card where you're moving away from a situation. However, there's no, other than this card, this is really the only card that would make me think, maybe it's talking about like a breakup, like you walking away from the relationship. But it's the only one which makes me think that might not necessarily be the case. So I'm gonna look at what the bottom card on the deck is and see if that gives me any kind of clue. Sometimes if you look at the bottom card, it gives you a nice summary of what that whole spread was about. And for the bottom card, I don't know if you can see this, but we have the Four of Pentacles, which is a card about possessiveness and insecurity. So I think that's what this spread is talking about, is you need to just kind of relax and let things happen as they're going to happen, if they're going to happen, rather than try to control it. When we try to control things, especially when we try to move things in a certain direction, we have a tendency to self-sabotage it, which again is what this card here is referring to. So you don't want to do that. I'm going to draw some oracle cards and see what comes up. I'm going to ask this deck specifically, is this relationship going to work out. No clear answer. We have reflection. Well, it's okay, because I have 4 decks here. So I have 4 oracle decks. So let's see what the other ones are saying. We have see the signs. Oh, I know when I'm in a bad place, I'm feeling all worked up about something, I know that for myself, I tend to get tarot spreads like this where they're saying like, well, you know, just reflect on it. You know what the answer is. The signs are there. And I'm going, no, I don't. I'm way too worked out. I'm way too upset about what's going on to see clearly what's happening. It just always seems like that happens to me when I'm in, you know, that like desperate, you know, situation where I've got myself all worked up, and it looks like that's what's happening to you here as well with these cards. I'm going to draw another oracle card. All right, well, you know, we have spiritual abundance, which is another card I often get when I'm sort of complaining to the universe about my circumstances and, you know, hey, how come I can't, you know, why can't I have a good relationship? Actually, I'm actually very blessed to have a good relationship, but, you know, maybe what you're feeling like, hey, why can't this just work out for me? It's basically a card that says no more complaining. It's time to, you know, count your blessings and feel grateful for what is coming in, even though right now you don't feel very grateful at all for it because you're in a lot of emotional pain and stress. I'm going to take one more card. This is my favorite, and then I'm going to summarize this reading for you. Okay. Interesting. It says ancestor spirit. Connect to your lineage. A family wound or pattern can be healed now. That's interesting. I think what it's suggesting is that you may be repeating some mistakes that other people, namely parents, it's usually a card about your parents and the way that they lived their life and the mistakes that they made and the mistakes that we then repeat when we grow up. It's telling you to be conscious of that and not to make those same mistakes that your parents have made. You might want to think about the relationship they have had, you know, if they've had relationships with other people since you were born. Think about that and see how it relates to your situation right now and if that makes sense. I've noticed that when I get the spiritual abundance card, not only is it a card when I'm sort of like complaining to God about my circumstances, but it's also a card that sort of hints at, you know, this is something that needs to happen in order for a better something to come in. And we do have, you know, the tarot cards do show good things coming in. Right? This is the next thing that's going to happen. You, with this guy who's just like absolutely, you know, worshiping you, right? That's coming in to your future. We also have the Sun card, not in the future, but right now, crossed by the Nine of Pentacles. So there's a lot of good things here. The cards are not telling me whether, you know, it's going to be with this guy or with someone else who would be coming in rather soon, if that would be the case. But they're telling you that you know. I know you're saying, I don't know, because, you know, you're asking me, the tarot reader, and I'm saying I don't know either, but the cards are saying that you do know, or that it's going to become very clear to you very soon. I hope that helped. I wish I could be more clear in terms of what's going to happen with this relationship. But either way, the cards are saying that there is abundance and good things coming in. So some things for you to think about. I hope that helped.